So, this is the first of our pitch and panel sessions where we have panels that are going to give you a very quick pitch around what they're doing at their company and what their innovation is all about. This session is about material and process innovation, so it leads very nicely on from what Mandana was talking about just now. So, let me introduce you to the panel. They've not quite sat in the order on the list, but that's all right. We have Vera Günther from Mimycri. We have Anna Hantelman from FormLabs. We have Olivier Grammont from Recyc Leather. It's you, sir. Desmond from LiteHide. And Anna Hantelman from, oh, hang on, Anne-Christin from Deepmello. Great. Well, thank you very much. So, the format for this next half hour or so is that I will invite each of our panelists in turn to have 2 minutes just to pitch, as I said, what their business is doing and what their innovation, their best innovation is. And I'll be very strict on time, so I will be deploying the yellow and red cards. Yellow card means you get 30 seconds to go. Red card means it's really time to be quiet, okay? So, Vera, why don't you start us off? Tell us a little bit about your company and what you're doing that's special.
Yes, hello. I'm very glad to be here. I'm Vera. I'm the co-founder of Mimycri. At Mimycri, we are working together with refugees here in Berlin, and we are upcycling the broken rubber boats that end up at the Greek beaches after crossing from the sea. And out of this material, we resource that in Greece with the help of volunteers. We bring it to Berlin, and together with refugees here, we make upcycled bags, backpacks, and shoes out of that. And so the question on the innovative part of what we are doing is that we are actually working with material that has a story of courage, a story of hope, and that wears scars from this history it already had, and we transform it into something new. And we change perspective on this material, which at the beaches of Greece is seen as waste, as something unwanted. And by the work we are doing together with refugees here in Berlin, we transform it into something wanted, and by that change perspective on the overall situation.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being so brief. I didn't even have to flash the cards. So, very exciting innovation. So how do you collect the boats in the Mediterranean, is that right? The ones that have been used, then bring them back here to Germany and make your products. How long have you been in business?
For a year. We're very young, so not
Excellent.
that long. Yeah.
Good. And where can we buy your products?
You can buy them either online on our online shop, or you can come to our workshop. We work in Neukölln here in Berlin, and we are happy about visitors, and you can come and talk to us and hear more about the story and touch and see the material. So
excellent, and I guess that'd be one of your products right there.
Exactly.
You wouldn't be wearing anyone else's bag, would you? No. Okay, well, thank you very much. We'll come back to talk to Vera a bit more later. Desmond, perhaps you can go next. Desmond from LiteHide. Tell us a little bit about what your business does. And
I'm going to stand because I just flew in from Hong Kong, and if I sit any longer, I might fall asleep. I did tell Vera to kick me. Anyway, so I'm Desmond from Hong Kong. Our company is called LiteHide, and we make leather greener, real leather greener. And how do we do that? Tanning, or the leather industry, is actually really polluting. It's the third most toxic industry, actually, in the world after lead battery recycling and smelting of iron ores. So the focus on sustainability in this industry has always been on the tanneries, because quite rightly, they use lots of dyes, they use lots of chemicals. But actually, the pollution starts way, way at the start, and it's when the animals or the hides are harvested, everything starts to rot. So in the business, in the meat packers, they use 20 pounds of salt per cowhide. That's shipped around the world with cow dung, fur, and blood and ooze. It's pretty gruesome and quite smelly. I don't think you want to go and visit these places. Anyway, obviously after tanning, goes to the factory, and I see lots of people with nice leather shoes and handbags, and that's what you get. So what we do is we eliminate the salt completely. We are able to develop a method of drying hides, and it's never been done before, because if you interlace your fingers, that's collagen, if you go back to your biology lessons. And when you dry hides, which is collagen, it collapses into gelatin. So if you buy food products, sausage casings, that's where it all comes from, the gelatin. But gelatin cannot be turned into leather. So we've invented a method of protecting the collagen fibers so that even when you dry it, when you put it back in normal water, it simply bounces back like instant noodle, ready for any tanning. So we have quite a lot of benefits, and obviously not just green from elimination of the salt. They use 200 liters to 300 liters of water just to wash all that stuff off, and which is lost to agriculture and drinking. So we are able to eliminate that completely, and we bring supply chain benefits. For example, we can ship 2,000 in the same container versus 500. So that's a quick summary, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Bang on 2 minutes. Well done. You've been practicing. That long flight from Hong Kong, I guess you had plenty of time to practice doing a 2-minute presentation. So tell me a little bit, have you, what's the relative life cycle analysis of your process versus the salt process? I mean, how does it, I mean, obviously you can see lots of benefits in terms of the use of salt and also the water use and everything.
Yep. So we've actually been asked to do LCAs, life cycle assessments. We're doing one specifically for potential inclusion to the Higg Index by, Sustainable Apparel Coalition. So that's one thing. Certain brands, actually there's a German famous brand that does lots of LCAs for themselves, and they've just done one. So it's interesting because the finding so far is obviously savings for us in terms of environmental footprint, not just in water, but also in waste, in carbon, in electricity, versus the traditional way of salting. So we're looking pretty decent at the moment.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, Anne-Christin, Deepmello, perhaps you could go next. Give us your 2-minute pitch on your company, what you're doing that's particularly innovative.
Yes, hello, I'm Anne, and I developed together with my colleagues a method to tend leather with rhubarb ingredients instead of chromium salt. And we do this to 100% in Germany. That means from the plants, the extracts, the skins from German cows who were born and grown up here, and also the tannery. And we would like to find an alternative method instead of using chromium salts, which is very environmental harmful, and we are experts in plant scientists, and that's why we founded this idea to do this with a very German-known plant instead of heavy metals.
And how long have you been in business?
We founded in 2010. And we founded also a fashion label in 2011 to present our leather also in products, first our own and now also for other companies.
And what are the challenges you found using your process versus more traditional processes?
To communicate the idea, because the industry is very settled. That means they are not so open for new innovative methods, and we have to convince them that it's also possible to use our leather for the same products they are in for shoes, clothing, interior or something like else. There's no different in using our leather instead of the other ones.
And is your products, are they aimed at top-end markets? Where's your positioning in the market for the leather?
What our products are?
Your leather, is it going to the top end, or is it kind of mass market type product?
No, it's the top. It's very, very exclusive material for exclusive brands.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much indeed. Olivier, your go now. Why don't you give us details of what you do at Recyc Leather? I guess the clue is in your name as to what you do with leather. But
Good morning. Yeah, I'm Olivier, origin from France. After living 15 years in Hong Kong, working for fashion industry in the handbags and small leather goods for many brands. A year ago, we decided to take the things in a different way, using the wastage. As you know, 100,000 tons of leather going to the landfill every year. So we don't know what to do. So we decided to develop recycled leather, which is not very new. You have before bonded leather. Bonded leather was mainly used for reinforcements for shoes industry, but never shown as a high-end product finish. So we take the wastage of a factory manufacturing gloves in the Guangzhou area. We take this scrap and we make it with the natural latex to make a new fabric. So it's not 100% leather, it's 80% leather, scrap. And from this starts, we make embossing, printing, different finishing for belts, wallets, small leather goods. And soon, not now, we are still working on it for the shoes industry. As you have seen, many interests on the recycling leather. Nike has started a few months ago the Flying Tiger with E-Leather Group, which is English manufacturing of recycled leather. Many people are really interested in using the wastage. So this is our goal.
Sure. And what sort of reaction are you getting from your customers? Do they see the benefits of using this versus traditional leather?
So yeah, different things. First is you are not competing with the leather. You are mainly competing with the plastic, with the PU or PVC. You are competing with fast fashion. So we try to make the things different and going near to the quality of the leather more and more, developing and performing to have tearing, resistance, near to the real leather. So this is hard work.
Great. And I guess the environmental benefits will include the fact that the leather that you're using doesn't have to go through the tanning process, so there are significant environmental benefits.
Yes, it's the wastage. So what do you do with the wastage? As you know, fashion is the second pollution industry in the world after the oil. And leather, you have here some people doing the tanning, which is extremely polluting. The wastage are going to the landfill. So for people are upcycling, which is a very good also alternative. Upcycling, so some new designer upcycling with the wastage. But we can also transform new fabric, new material from the wastage.
Great, thank you very much. Anna, turning to you then from FormLabs, can you give us your 2-minute pitch innovation that's going on at your business? Thank you.
Last but not least, thank you for having me here. I'm responsible for German marketing at FormLabs EU. And at FormLabs, we believe that with 3D printing, we can change the way that things are made. How so? Well, we believe that to get from your idea to your actual product, you need a tool that allows you to get it into a physical object, into a three-dimensional shape that you can touch, that you can feel, that you can work with. And projects that are related to fashion and sustainability are, for example, a dress that we realized with the Berlin fashion tech company Electro Couture. They're imagining a dress that can move by itself, that adapts to its environment, and the only way to do it was really to have a 3D printed sort of case that could incorporate all the electricity, all the light sensors, and it was possible for us to make this dream of Electro Couture designers come true. Another example is when New Balance, the shoemaker, approached us and said they would want to have customized shoes for their future customers in the near future. We also made it possible for them. We're right now in the development of developing a 3D printed midsole that can give each person in its shoe really the feel that the shoe is made for this person and only this person, be it athletics or customers like we. And I think in terms of fashion sustainability, it's really about customization. So we need to think about mass production versus customization. What do we actually need and what does each of us need in a mass-produced world?
So I'd imagine that for you, 3D printing has opportunities across the whole of the fashion sector then. You mentioned this extraordinary dress that moves by itself.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that to start.
Yeah, sure. So Lina Vassong, who's the designer at Electro Couture, who we made this dress with, she actually has done a lot of innovative projects, and for her, it's probably going even further than 3D printing. It's going into 4D printing, where you can imagine that actually materials adapt to their environments. We're not quite there yet. I mean, we have some materials that are like reactive to heat and to environment, but she also just did a mix of different technologies that we have at the moment. And like I said, the only way for her to get from her sketch, from her drawing, be it on paper or on screen, is to 3D print it.
Fine. Great. Well, thank you. Great start. I do want to come to audience questions in this session. So if everyone's got a question right now, now's a good time to ask it. Feel that I will have to be Scottish and ask my own questions. That's fine. Let's talk then a little bit around what the kind of best sustainable practice that you're working on right now, and also challenges to scale. So many of these great innovations look fantastic, but it's also getting them to scale is the real problem and challenge. So why don't we talk about that a little bit? We'll come down the line. Desmond, start with you. What's your number one, most sustainable practice you're doing right now, and what's your challenge getting it to scale? It should work. It should come on.
Hello?
There you go.
So Ian was asking, for my business, I guess, scalability. We're very lucky because we work with some of the largest meat packers in the world. So they automatically, instead of salting, make LiteHide. So the supply chain actually doesn't change. Our tannery customers basically buy the same raw hide, just in an improved form, right? So the brands get the benefit because we license the meat packers so they can actually trace back to origins. Now, sorry to steal your fire, Ian, but Anne rhubarb tanning stuff is absolutely fabulous because Olivier was already alluding to tanning being really quite dirty, and chromium is potentially one of those things which is hazardous. So if you read a lot of sustainable forum stuff, right, you would have heard of ZDHC, which stands for Zero Discharge of Hazardous Chemicals. Now, the good news about my stuff and also Anne's stuff is because I'm just a raw hide in a better form, you can actually tan it in rhubarb if you want, or mango. So for me, actually, scalability is actually the tanneries. Because like Olivier was saying, it's a really traditional business. They unfortunately don't make a lot of money. The brands make more than they do. They don't really like to take risk, and actually they've been educated in all the leather schools that dried hides, and it's right before I came along, don't make good leather. So it's really overcoming that perception, which is my issue. But we're really lucky because brands actually want to make this change. Consumers want to see greener leather, and we have meat packers that's already wanting to be on side. And we actually kind of like come to them from top down and bottom up at the same time. What do you think, Anne?
Good link. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for us it was very important to find a method that can be used in a normal system. That means we have no new technologies necessary for using our extract. They can use all the machines they are normally used for chromium tanning, and instead of the extract of the chromium, of the heavy metal, they are using our plant extract. That it's very important to scale up the whole method, because if you have to produce new machines, there's no way to change. You have to make it very easy for them that they change their process.
Absolutely. Do you like sell your rhubarb tanning agent to other tanneries, or do you only make your own at the moment?
Yeah, we make our own leather because that's not only for us. It's not only the tanning process. It's also the
Quality.
The quality and where are the skins comes from, and is there a fair production behind, and so on and so on. But we are working on new products that we are also sell, not only for us, not only using for us.
We're seeing live networking right here, ladies and gentlemen. Live
we had a bit
stage.
of time behind waiting for Ian, so we were talking about rhubarb a lot, which is good food, by the way.
So, I mean, I guess your customers are tanneries, essentially.
No, actually, my customers are meat packers because I license them with the
yeah.
technology. So instead of them using salt, they make LiteHide.
Do you find from eventual users of the leather that there is a desire for your product to be used, because you're then cutting down the footprint of the leather transportation, to then go to the sort of processes here, which then takes an awful lot of the nastiness out of the tanning process? Is there a desire, a push for that, that supply chain to work together?
Right. I don't want to exclude Vera and Anne from this conversation, but
I'll bring them in, don't worry.
But it's really interesting because between Olivier, Anne, oh God, sorry, jet lag. Anne, Olivier, and I, we actually have the start, the middle, and the end, kind of, in one chain, which is quite interesting. I don't think I've been to a panel quite like this. So possibly, and you can agree or disagree later, probably the best practices in leather would be, obviously, a sustainable source for the animal, which is good animal welfare and all that. Preferably not salt, so using a technology such as mine. Then going to a tannery that uses the leading practice tanning chemicals and dyes. The tanning chemicals can be something such as rhubarb, that Anne does, and dyes could be biodegradable because they're available now. And for those tanneries, and Olivier's worked with some of them, could be leather working group, gold or silver rated tanneries, which employs the best sustainable practices at those places, and they're audited. And then the waste goes to Olivier, who then makes a new product. Yeah?
Okay, that's a great time to bring in Olivier, and I promise I will bring the other panelists in. But yes, when you complete the supply chain brilliance we've managed to achieve in the panel.
It's as you know, there is many change. For me, I will sum up. It's like organic food. So you are what you wear. You are what you wear. Now people, millennials especially, have many questions how we do the things. Okay, so we can improve for sure. We can improve on the supply chain. The way we tan, the way we produce. This is why we are here today. But also we can ask, what is the fast fashion right now? We make overstock billion of clothing. What do you do with this? You burn it. You put on the field, you sell to Africa. What do you do? We need to have solution. We have to change our way. We have to change our way. Less stock, designer to do with a new way to design with upcycling. Designing some old stock, mixing the colors. Find some new ways to reduce. Because we have to.
Sure. Well, we will be talking a lot about the circular economy later on today. We've had a panel that will be going into that. But thank you very much for that. Vera, coming out of leather, what for you is the most exciting innovation or the most best sustainable practice that you're doing? And how are you going to get your business more to scale?
Yeah, I would maybe add up on what Olivier just said, because I really think it is a change in mentality that we have to do, and that is actually empowering and exciting. So our main goal is not, I don't think the world needs more bags and backpacks. So how we see ourselves is to create awareness and to show that fashion can be more than just something that looks beautiful, but it actually sends a statement about what you believe in and what you want to support and who you want to support. And ideally, in the end, there wouldn't be any more boats arriving that we have to transform into bags and backpacks. Ideally, we would completely design waste out of our system. But we are not there yet, so we see ourselves as an awareness creator that makes people think about how we perceive waste, how we perceive people, and how we consume. Do we want to have an item that we throw away next year because it's kind of not in fashion anymore? Or do we want to own something that has already a story, and that the longer we have it and the longer we carry it with us, kind of creates and writes a new story. So what we are really dreaming of, and what the scalability of our approach is, that at the moment there is enough waste all around this world, and what we would like to be and where we're heading towards is that we are an incubator and an example of how you can actually create a completely sustainable business, which is socially, economically, and environmentally sustainable, which creates awareness and which makes people reflect upon their way of consumption. And this doesn't have to be done only in Berlin. It doesn't have to be done only with refugees and only with broken rubber boats. I think there are a million opportunities out there in the world where people who would otherwise not find a job can work with material that is seen as waste and to transform it with the value of their work into something beautiful and something new.
It's certainly very true that there's a change in attitude. Yes, round of applause. Well done. Thank you. It's heartening. We're seeing a change in attitudes towards waste products, that they can be used, that there is value there. And then when you're bringing in the kind of story you do, it's very heartening. Anna, let me turn to you. Sorry, you've been very patient.
No, it's fine.
For you
it's
then,
fine.
what's the most sustainable practice that you're doing, and what are the challenges of scaling?
Yeah, so I actually also want to add up on what you just said, that and we were talking about that backstage before, that basically we also want to create a consciousness of when you have something, when you buy something, when it's yours, you also want to keep it, and you want to keep it for longer. And I think one way that we're already doing this today is whenever we get something customized that's only made for us, it also has a different value for us. And I agree that this sort of customization can also come with a personalized story or a specific fabric that we choose. So it's really about being conscious. And I think if we still keep in mind that some things might still have to be made new, let's think about customization, and let's think about if I want to get a new pair of sunglasses, I could go into a shop and get the mass-produced ones, or I could 3D print my own frame, and that's mine and only mine. So I think basically our mission really is to allow all the innovative designers in the world to produce their product, and be it only as a 3D printed prototype that is then produced in another sustainable way.
Well, thank you very much. Last chance, audience, coming towards the end of this session. Obviously, you're going to be storing your questions up for the media lounge, I know, so you'll have a chance to talk to the panel then. Well, what I'd like to do then, panel, is to round things up by, just very quickly, where are you seeing the drive for change and innovation? What's, for you, the driver for innovation as you go to the future? Just very quickly, I'll come down the panel. We'll start again at the end. Desmond.
Ian likes putting me on the spot, obviously. But anyway, I think all the summits and conferences I go to, the hot topics are probably blockchain and circular economy. Circular economy's been around and talked about for a long time, but we haven't really seen any big impact. We were all talking behind the curtain. And I think one of the biggest problems, or two biggest problems, is, let's say I am a really famous brand, Michael Kors, right? And I'm suddenly now doing circular regenerated products. But what about my other products? So what am I saying as a brand manager? That I have these products which are greener and these that aren't? So that's one of the issues that I think brands face. But the second most important issue, I think, in the circular economy, which actually Anne solves somewhat, which is really cool, is actually consumers. I mean, we all have to want to give stuff back, because otherwise it won't be recycled or reused or broken down. We all have to accept potentially certain performance issues. Let's say, if you look at your clothing label, whatever you're wearing later on, don't take it off now, you'll probably realize that it's not one single fabric, it's mixed fabrics. So when you try and upcycle that or backcycle that, whatever you want to call it, it's really hard until we have technology to split those fibers. So splitting the fiber is already one issue, and then splitting the colors is another issue. So maybe we need to go back to the old style of, let's say, having purer materials of just one sort, if you see what I mean. So that's what I see the drivers, or the lack of driving.
Okay, thank you. Vera, for you.
Yeah, so in my view, there are 2 points that I would like to mention as drivers for innovation. One is really the notion about what's cool, I think the moment we arrive at a point where cool is to have few items but high quality ones, where cool means that somebody who makes your clothes gets a fair wage and has like proper working conditions, where the environment is not harmed. So I think if we move towards that, and if at one point it's cool to be sustainable, and I think we're moving there, that's already like a good driver. The second driver that I really think is actually here in this room, in this building, is the feeling to not be alone in this. Because I think we all here have goals of like making fashion more sustainable. And sometimes, I don't know about others, but at least I feel sometimes from day-to-day practice, it's a hard battle and it takes a lot of energy, but it's so empowering and so wonderful to see so many people working on it at different points and to use these opportunities to come together and to create networks and to work together for this joint goal. I think is a huge driver for innovation.
Thank you very much. I always thought sustainability was cool. I'm glad that more people agree with me now. Olivier.
Yeah, I totally agree with Vera. We can say more is less. More is less for many things. You know, you don't own a car now. You rent when you need it. It's a change of mentality, you know, especially in big city, capital. The way we are the transportation, the materialistic things are changing. So to reduce, this is one thing, to reduce, rechange, but also innovation. Innovation can be also in fabrics. You know, there are some people doing leather with pineapple, it's called Pineatex, with some mushroom, orange peel. So find some new way, some new fabric from the nature to take from the fruits and vegetables and even microbiology, you know, Modern Meadow in California. They are doing this new collagen leather from laboratory. Why not? It can be also a future.
Sure.
It's a way to rethink the way we consume. So it's very interesting because I think we are in a way on a challenging way, you know. I hope it's going to do the same with the food.
Yeah.
The organic food I was saying before.
Yeah, rethinking how we consume is a great way to put it. Anne.
Thank you. I think actually what you were saying before, what you eat is who you are, and the same thing for what I wear is who I am. And that adds to a lot of what was said before. It really is about speaking to one's personality, thinking about the individual self, and in that also thinking about, do I really want to wear something that is polluted, that is harming my environment, that was produced under work conditions who I cannot like agree with. And I totally agree that we see that with food movement and we want to see it more. And the same is for fashion and for consumables in general.
Thank you very much. And Anne.
Yeah, it's the same direction because I think a big driver is the customer, because we have to explain them what's the harmful production behind. In our case, not every person know how harmful leather would be produced if they have a beautiful handbag at the end. So we have to explain that to them, and then they can decide.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That's our first panel. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking them. We got a really interesting insight from all the panelists. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.